Every year, 19 million visitors walk through the gates of Beijing's Forbidden City. They see the golden roofs, the grand courtyards, the throne room where emperors once ruled over a quarter of the world's population. But what they don't see are the secrets hidden beneath their feet, behind sealed doors, and within walls that have witnessed 600 years of intrigue, betrayal, and mystery. Today, we're going beyond the tourist path. We're uncovering the hidden chambers, the underground networks, and the dark secrets that the Forbidden City has kept locked away for centuries. This is the story they don't tell you on the guided tours. Our story begins not with what you can see, but with what lies hidden beneath the magnificent marble floors. Because the Forbidden City isn't just a palace complex, it's an iceberg. And like any iceberg, most of it remains hidden from view. In 2016, archaeologists made a startling discovery. Using ground-penetrating radar, they found that beneath the Forbidden City lies an intricate network of underground passages, chambers, and tunnels that rivals the complexity of the structures above ground. Dr. Wang Li, leading the archaeological survey, described what they found as a city beneath the city. These aren't just simple storage rooms or foundations. These are deliberately constructed spaces, some large enough to hold hundreds of people, connected by passages that stretch for miles beneath Beijing. But why were they built? And more importantly, what were they hiding? When the Yongle Emperor ordered the construction of the Forbidden City in 1406, he wasn't just building a palace, he was creating a fortress. The underground network served multiple purposes: escape routes for the imperial family, hidden storage for the empire's most precious treasures, and something even more sinister: secret prisons where enemies of the state simply disappeared. The most chilling discovery was made in 2018. Construction workers, renovating a drainage system, stumbled upon what appeared to be a sealed chamber. Inside, archaeologists found the remains of 47 individuals, along with evidence suggesting they had been imprisoned there during the reign of the Kangxi Emperor in the late 1600s. These weren't criminals or commoners. Forensic analysis revealed they were well-nourished, suggesting high social status. The leading theory: they were political prisoners, perhaps rivals to the throne or officials who fell from favor. Their fate was to vanish into the underground labyrinth, never to be seen again. But the underground isn't the only place where the Forbidden City keeps its secrets. Above ground, behind doors marked with symbols that most visitors pass without a second thought, lie chambers that haven't been opened to the public for over 400 years. The Room of Forbidden Knowledge. In the northeastern corner of the Forbidden City stands a building that doesn't appear on any tourist map. The Hall of Literary Brilliance looks modest from the outside. Certainly nothing compared to the grand throne rooms that dominate the central axis. But this unassuming structure holds perhaps the most valuable collection of knowledge in Chinese history. For centuries, this was the private library of the emperors. Not the ceremonial books used for public display, but their real collection, scrolls and manuscripts that contained everything from military secrets to detailed accounts of palace intrigue. From forbidden scientific knowledge to personal diaries of emperors spanning 6 dynasties, the collection includes what historians call the emperor's eyes-only manuscripts, documents, so sensitive that reading them without imperial permission was punishable by death. These texts contained detailed spy reports from across the empire, plans for military campaigns, and most intriguingly, accounts of events that were deliberately erased from official history. One such document, only recently translated, reveals the true story behind the mysterious fire that destroyed the Hall of Supreme Harmony in 1697. Official records claim it was an accident caused by lightning, but the emperor's private account tells a different story. The fire was deliberately set to destroy evidence of a massive corruption scandal that involved his own son. The scandal was so damaging that the emperor chose to burn down one of his most important buildings rather than let the evidence see daylight. The official story of lightning was crafted to protect the dynasty's reputation. But perhaps the most shocking discovery in the Hall of Literary Brilliance was made in 1987, when researchers found a hidden compartment behind a false wall. Inside was a collection of maps, not of China, but of lands far beyond the empire's borders. These maps, dating from the early 1400s, show detailed knowledge of coastlines and territories that Chinese explorers supposedly never reached. They include accurate depictions of the American coastline, detailed maps of Australia, and intricate charts of African trade routes, all predating European discoveries by decades. The maps were created during the voyages of Admiral Zheng He, whose massive treasure fleets explored the Indian Ocean between 1405 and 1433. But according to these secret documents, Zheng He's expeditions went far beyond what history books tell us. They reached the Americas, circumnavigated Africa, and established trading posts in Australia. Why was this knowledge kept secret? The answer lies in palace politics. When the Yongle Emperor died, his successor, the Hongxi Emperor, believed China should focus inward. He ordered all records of the far-reaching expeditions to be destroyed and forbade future oceanic exploration. But the emperor's personal library kept copies of everything. These maps prove that Chinese explorers were mapping the world's oceans generations before Columbus ever set sail. It's a rewriting of world history, hidden in a room that tourists walk past every day without knowing its significance. Yet even these incredible secrets pale in comparison to what lies hidden in the forbidden city's most restricted area, a place so sensitive that even today, nearly a century after the fall of the Qing dynasty, access is strictly limited to a handful of researchers worldwide. The Emperor's Shadow Court. Deep within the inner palace, past courtyards where no tourist will ever set foot, stands a complex of buildings known in historical records simply as the Inner Sanctum. This was the nerve center of what historians now call the Shadow Court, a parallel government that operated in complete secrecy alongside the official imperial administration. The Shadow Court wasn't just about palace intrigue. It was a sophisticated intelligence network that spanned the entire empire and beyond. From these hidden chambers, emperors controlled a vast spy network that included merchants traveling the Silk Road, monks in distant monasteries, and even servants in foreign courts. The operation was run by an organization known as the Invisible Guards, agents so secret that their existence was denied even within palace walls. These weren't the colorfully dressed palace guards that tourists photograph today. They were masters of disguise, skilled in languages, and trained from childhood in the arts of espionage and assassination. Recent archaeological evidence has revealed the true scope of their operations. Hidden beneath the inner sanctum, researchers found rooms filled with forged documents, fake seals from foreign governments, and detailed dossiers on political figures across Asia. The level of sophistication rivals anything seen in modern intelligence agencies. One particularly fascinating discovery was a series of reports from the 1640s during the final years of the Ming dynasty. These documents reveal that the emperors knew exactly how precarious their situation was. They had detailed intelligence about rebel movements, knew which generals were planning to defect, and were even aware of the specific strategies the incoming Qing forces planned to use. Yet, despite this incredible intelligence network, the Ming dynasty still fell. Why? The answer lies in another secret chamber, discovered only in 2019, behind a wall that had been sealed for over 300 years. Researchers found what appears to be the personal archive of the last Ming emperor, Changzhen. Among the documents was his private diary, written in the final months before Beijing fell to rebel forces. The diary reveals a man paralyzed by the very intelligence network he controlled. He knew about every threat, every plot, every approaching army. But the constant stream of bad news created what modern psychologists would recognize as analysis paralysis. He had too much information to process and became incapable of decisive action. In his final entry, dated just 3 days before he hanged himself in the imperial garden, Emperor Chongzhen wrote, "To know everything is to know nothing. The shadows I created to protect my empire have become the darkness that consumes it." But the shadow court's influence didn't end with the Ming dynasty. When the Qing forces took control of the Forbidden City, they discovered these intelligence networks and, rather than dismantling them, expanded them. The Qing emperors, being outsiders who had conquered China, were even more paranoid than their predecessors. They turned the shadow court into something unprecedented in human history, a surveillance state that monitored not just political dissidents, but ordinary citizens going about their daily lives. Hidden chambers in the inner sanctum contained thousands of files on common people, farmers, merchants, artisans, all carefully cataloged and monitored. The system was so comprehensive that historians estimate the Qing surveillance network had files on nearly 10% of the empire's population. This wasn't just paranoia, it was a deliberate strategy to maintain control over a population that vastly outnumbered their Manchu rulers. By creating a climate where anyone could be watching and reporting, they maintained order through fear and uncertainty. The most chilling aspect of this system was its use of what they called the invisible punishment. Citizens who were deemed threats didn't disappear in dramatic arrests. They simply found their lives becoming increasingly difficult. Business licenses were denied, marriages were forbidden, children were excluded from schools. People were destroyed slowly, methodically, and often never realized they were being deliberately targeted. The records of this system survived until the very end of imperial rule, and what they reveal about the final decades of the Qing dynasty challenges everything we thought we knew about the fall of imperial China. The last emperor's ultimate secret. On February 12, 1912, 6-year-old Pye, the last emperor of China, formally abdicated the throne that his family had held for nearly 300 years. The official story is well known. Facing Republican revolution, the imperial court negotiated a peaceful transition that allowed the child emperor to remain in the Forbidden City until 1924, but newly discovered documents tell a very different story, one of a desperate attempt to preserve not just the Qing dynasty, but the entire imperial system through one of the most audacious secret plans in Chinese history. In 2020, during renovation work in the Palace of Heavenly Purity, workers discovered a sealed room that had been walled up sometime in the early 1900s. Inside, they found what historians are calling the Restoration Archive. Thousands of documents detailing a massive conspiracy to restore imperial rule that continued in secret for decades after the official abdication. The conspiracy wasn't just about politics, it was about preserving an entire way of life. The imperial court had secretly moved the most valuable treasures of the Forbidden City to hidden locations across China and even to foreign countries. They established secret schools to train the next generation of imperial officials, maintained a shadow government with ministers and departments, and even continued to collect taxes from loyal regions. Most remarkably, they developed detailed plans for armed resistance. Hidden weapons caches were established across northern China. Loyal military units were identified and cultivated. And foreign governments, particularly Japan and Russia, were approached for support. The scope of this operation was enormous. At its peak, the secret imperial government employed over 50,000 people across China and maintained embassies in 12 foreign countries. They had their own postal system, their own currency, and their own intelligence network that rivaled anything the new Republican government could create. But the most shocking revelation came from Puyi's own private correspondence, discovered in a hidden compartment in his former bedroom. These letters, written when he was in his 20s and living in exile, reveal that he never truly accepted his abdication. In a letter to a loyal general dated 1934, Pui wrote, "The dragon may sleep, but it does not die. When the time is right, the Son of Heaven will reclaim what was stolen. The Forbidden City awaits its rightful master." This wasn't just the fantasy of a deposed ruler. The letters reference specific military plans, detailed intelligence about Republican government weaknesses, and coordinated timing with Japanese expansion into Manchuria. Pui wasn't just dreaming of restoration, he was actively working toward it. The plan ultimately centered on Japanese support. In exchange for helping restore Pui to the Chinese throne, he would grant Japan extensive economic and military concessions. The Forbidden City would become the seat of a puppet empire, controlled from Tokyo but maintaining the appearance of Chinese imperial legitimacy. This plan partially succeeded when the Japanese created the state of Manchukuo in 1932 with Pwi as its emperor. But newly discovered documents reveal that this was intended as just the first step. The ultimate goal was to use Manchukuo as a base to reconquer all of China and restore Pwi to the Dragon Throne in Beijing. The plan came remarkably close to success. By 1942, Japanese forces controlled much of eastern China, and secret imperial agents had established cells in major cities across the country. Weapons were stockpiled, supporters were organized, and detailed plans were drawn up for Puyi's triumphant return to the Forbidden City. But World War II changed everything. As Japan's position weakened, so did prospects for imperial restoration. By 1945, when Japan surrendered, the secret imperial government had been maintaining its shadow operations for over 3 decades. The last entry in the Restoration Archive is dated August 20, 1945, just 5 days after Japan's surrender. It's a brief note from one of Puyu's supporters. "The dragon sleeps again. The archives must be sealed. Perhaps future generations will succeed where we have failed." And so they sealed the chamber, walling up the evidence of the most extensive political conspiracy in modern Chinese history. For 75 years, these secrets remained hidden behind palace walls, known only to the few who had participated and taken their knowledge to the grave. But even today, the story doesn't end, because buried within these documents are references to other secrets, other hidden chambers, and other mysteries that the Forbidden City has yet to reveal. Mysteries yet to be solved. As remarkable as these discoveries have been, archaeologists and historians believe they've only scratched the surface of what the Forbidden City still conceals. Modern technology is revealing new secrets almost every year, and each discovery seems to raise more questions than it answers. In 2022, the most advanced ground-penetrating radar survey ever conducted at the Forbidden City revealed something that has left experts baffled. Deep beneath the Hall of Supreme Harmony, the most important building in the entire complex, there appears to be a massive void. It's perfectly circular, nearly 100 meters in diameter, and located at a depth that suggests it predates the construction of the Forbidden City itself. What's down there? The radar can't penetrate deeply enough to reveal details, but the shape and size suggest it's artificial. Some archaeologists speculate it could be a massive tomb, perhaps of a Yuan dynasty emperor whose burial site was lost to history. Others believe it might be a natural cave that was modified and used for storage or ceremonies. But the most intriguing theory comes from Dr. Chen Wei, a specialist in Ming Dynasty architecture. She believes the void might be the legendary Chamber of Celestial Harmony, a mystical space mentioned in ancient texts but never located. According to these sources, it was where emperors went to communicate directly with heaven, performing rituals so sacred that even the highest court officials were forbidden to witness them. If Dr. Chen is correct, this chamber could contain artifacts and inscriptions that would revolutionize our understanding of imperial Chinese religion and philosophy. But accessing it would require excavating through the foundations of one of China's most important historical buildings, a project that may never receive approval. Meanwhile, other mysteries continue to emerge from areas that are already accessible. In 2023, digital restoration of badly damaged murals in the Palace of Tranquil Longevity revealed hidden images underneath the visible paintings. Using advanced imaging techniques, researchers discovered that many of the murals contain multiple layers, with older paintings deliberately covered by newer ones. What's fascinating is that the hidden paintings often tell very different stories than the visible ones. Where the surface murals show peaceful court scenes and traditional imagery, the underlying paintings frequently depict battles, natural disasters, and scenes of apparent political upheaval. It appears that throughout Chinese history, palace artists were regularly ordered to paint over existing murals when the stories they told became politically inconvenient. Each layer represents a different version of history, and researchers are now working to uncover and document these hidden narratives. Perhaps most mysteriously, several of the hidden murals contain symbols and characters that don't match any known Chinese writing system. Some appear to be in Mongolian script, others in scripts that haven't been identified at all. These could be evidence of the multicultural nature of imperial courts, or they might represent secret codes or religious symbols whose meaning has been lost to time. The Forbidden City's secrets extend beyond its walls as well. Recent research has revealed that the complex was connected to at least a dozen other sites across Beijing through underground tunnels, many of which remain unexplored. Some of these tunnels were discovered during modern subway construction, but their full extent remains unknown. Where do they lead? What were they used for? And most intriguingly, some of them appear to extend far beyond Beijing's current boundaries, suggesting that the Forbidden City was the hub of an underground network that spanned much of northern China. As we speak, new technologies are being deployed to explore these mysteries. Advanced robotics, improved ground-penetrating radar, and artificial intelligence analysis of historical documents are constantly revealing new aspects of the Forbidden City's hidden history. But perhaps the greatest mystery isn't what we haven't found yet, it's how much we may never know. Historical records suggest that before the fall of the Qing dynasty, palace officials systematically destroyed enormous quantities of documents and artifacts. What secrets went up in those fires? What knowledge was lost forever in those final, chaotic years? The Forbidden City has guarded its secrets for 600 years. Despite everything we've uncovered, despite all our modern technology and archaeological techniques, we may have discovered only a fraction of what lies hidden within its walls. Today, millions of visitors walk through the Forbidden City, marveling at its grandeur and imagining the emperors who once ruled from its golden halls. But beneath their feet, behind sealed doors, and within walls that have witnessed centuries of secrets, the real stories remain hidden. We've explored underground networks that rival modern subway systems, discovered intelligence operations that would impress contemporary spy agencies, and uncovered evidence of conspiracies that continued decades after the empire officially ended. We've seen how the Forbidden City wasn't just a palace, but a fortress, a vault, and a nerve center for one of history's most sophisticated governments. But for every secret we've uncovered, dozens more remain hidden. Every archaeological discovery, every translated document, every technological breakthrough reveals new mysteries and raises new questions. The Forbidden City continues to surprise us, continues to guard its secrets, continues to remind us that history is far more complex and fascinating than any tour guide could ever convey. What other secrets do you think the Forbidden City is still hiding? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more hidden histories and untold stories from China. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.